Energy and Public Utilities, Mrs. Ganesh Dulba, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Public Utilities, Mr. Lesjongard, Principal Consultant, Everest Partners, who will join us virtually. Chairman and Chief Executive Officers of parasitic bodies, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. I have the honor to welcome you at the launching of the World Energy Day, which is being organized for the first time in Mauritius. The World Energy Day aims to raise awareness on the importance of saving our natural resources for sustainable conservation, climate change, carbon emission reduction, and environmental. The objective of this event is to stimulate the adoption of positive and sustainable practices which contribute to reducing the use of electricity consumption and pledging to continue this reduced use. The theme chosen for this year is Your Efforts Count. Act now. The CEB, the Mauritius Renewable Energy Agency, and the Energy Efficiency Management Office are the three arms of the Ministry of Energy and Public Utilities responsible for the production and judicious use of energy. We cannot exist without energy. Energy is used in our daily lives at all spheres, such as industrial purposes, transportation, heating, cooling, lighting, etc. In its endeavor to reduce our dependence on fossil energy, Mauritius has embarked in the production of cleaner and greener energy so as to reduce its share, increase its share of renewable energy. Thus, since more than a decade, several solar farms have been set up, in addition to the use of biogas and hydro for the production of electricity. One of our speakers today, Mr. Lesjongard, Principal Consultant, Everest Partners Limited, has been tested positive to COVID-19 and will virtually deliver his speech. He is a principal engineer, team leader, and advisor having an international experience of more than 15 years in solar energy. He has developed a competent holistic perspective in clean energy penetration, capacity building, transaction advisory, as well as industry best practice application to contract management, including FIDIC. He was the principal consultant with UNDP in connection with the construction, monitoring, and commissioning support for the 14 megawatts of battery energy storage system, BESS, and for the feasibility of the 2 megawatt floating PV at Amrita together with Marina. May I request Mr. Gertic to share his experience with us virtually? Some technical issues.
Thank you all. I feel deeply honored to be able to speak to you, the decision makers that shape the future of the Mauritius. Despite remotely, yes, unfortunately, I am alone. My name is Lesjongard. I'm from Germany. I have been working in the field of clean energy and research for 3 years now. Currently with an international consultant for Everest. I studied renewable energy as a special and master, and since then worked in many markets. Germany, Spain, Australia, France, the UK, and developing countries. I came to Mauritius more than 2 years ago, thanks to UNDP, Marina, CEB, and I fell in love with the island. That is one special version, my partner in. We decided to settle here, which gave me the opportunity to apply international best practice projects here on the island. I have seen that Mauritius already implemented many different solar and wind projects, and that it is on a good pathway toward energy independence and clean energy supply. However, There is still a lot to do, and it is with my utmost pleasure to see programs for two important pillars toward this being announced today: electromobility and clean energy for public buildings. In my view, it would be very beneficial for the island to reduce and to replace public buses with electric ones, and also private transport, which will significantly reduce fuel dependency and improve air quality and public health. Furthermore, distributed grid-connected solar PV still appears to be underdeveloped in Mauritius, and there is immense potential for its uptake, especially in the residential sector, given the great solar resource we have here and related low payback times. Other measures that can be taken are biomass, floating solar PV, a further uptake of wind energy, and of course, energy storage to improve grid stability. Many of these technologies offer synergies, such as agrivoltaic to combine solar PV with food production, or floating PV to avoid water evaporation in our reservoirs. Much of it would be left to the free market to develop. However, related regulation, quality control, transparency, and qualified oversight are important as we face very specific challenges in Mauritius, such as the cyclonic environment. However, energy also needs to be seen beyond electricity, as dependencies on external car fuel and cooking gas also need to be reduced. Biomass conversion and electromobility present solutions for us. Energy efficiency is another area where much potential can be yielded, especially for industrial processes, for which energy orbiter curricula could be set up. Many countries are strengthening their circular economy, in the course of which waste-to-energy plants can also play a role. With such modern technology, our landfills can be relieved and energy generated in the process, while ensuring that exhaust gases are not filtered. Connect incentives for waste collection to it, and it may even clean up the air. Last but not least, let us not forget about passive options of the reduction of energy use. Educational and incentive schemes could be tailored for houses to install awnings or to paint the roofs white, thus reducing the heat intake of solar radiation. These are very likely the cheapest and most cost-effective solutions to reduce energy use. Residential PV will also be a good way to keep solar heat outside the house. I hope these and other topics will be discussed as part of this panel sessions later today. Without further ado, I hope we will have an informative event and that we will work together toward a cleaner and independent Mauritius. We need more building.
Thank you, Mr. Leotic, for your expose. He's with us online, so he's listening to the whole program throughout. On the occasion of the World Energy Day, the conservation of energy has the prime importance. I shall now invite all our guests to watch together an informative video on air conditioning, which has been developed by the Energy Efficiency Management Office of the Ministry of Energy and Public Utilities. This video will be used as an informative tool.
L'utilisation d'un climatiseur peut augmenter. Il est de ce fait important que l'on choisisse un climatiseur qui soit adapté à vos besoins. Il est important que vous l'utilisez. Il est aussi important que vous gardiez en bon état pour qu'il vous plaît dans vos dépenses trop beaucoup. D'abord, vous vous abonnez qui puissance climatisée à vos besoins. Puissance climatiseur est mesurée en BTU, qui veut dire British Thermal Unit. Commandez l'ensemble pour déterminer combien de BTU climatiseur la piscinité. Au calcul grandeur n ensemble, ou multiplier longueur et clauseur. Ou comment servir sa table pour connaître qui puissance climatiseur ou besoin. Par exemple, si vous l'ensemble 8 mètres carrés, vous pouvez user un climatiseur avec 9000 BTU. Deuxièmement, modèle climatiseur qui est un Energy Label. Energy Label donne nos informations si climatiseur est efficient ou non. Choisir un aircon qui se place l'énergie A ou meilleur. Energy Label donne nous une indication combien de courant aircon a pour servir dans un an si vous servez pour ma besoin. Troisièmement, quand finir ce aircon, assurer qu'un technicien qui est au moins un niveau NC3 ou NC4 fait l'installation ou aircon pour lui donner une bonne performance pour faire économie. Quand on fait l'installation, il est essentiel que l'outdoor unit là, il est dans un endroit qui est bien ventilé et si possible, mettre un auvent pour empêcher les applaudir directement. Quatrièmement, la façon aussi de climatiser pour déterminer sa durée de vie et aussi à quel point il est économique. À l'un des tips qui vous aider, il est conseillé que vous température climatisée entre 24 et 26 degrés et chrétien dans l'obstruction qui près et indoor unit. Quand série ou aircon, pas oublier de fermer la fenêtre et la peau pour éviter l'air conditionné perdu. Sinon, ça peut faire que l'aircon travaille plus et consomme plus l'énergie. Nous conseillons de nettoyer un filtre qui dans indoor unit au moins une fois par mois pour capable de faire référence avec le mode d'emploi qui vient avec ou aircon. Si toi, pour tu installes ou aircon exposé, les bons vous nettoyer là pour qu'il ne passe sur le soleil. Faire un technicien certifié NC3 ou NC4 nettoyer outdoor et indoor unit aircon là au moins une fois par an. T'as un appareil à la lumière qui n'est pas servi quand vous servez aircon. Et qui est important, t'as un climatiseur quand vous pas servi. Tout ça va nous conseiller là pour aussi être prolongé durée de vie ou climatiseur.
Nous espérons que vous suivez ça petit conseil là et que vous servez ou climatiseur comme un besoin pour faire l'économie.
Thank you for watching. Now that you are aware of the precautions to be taken while using your air conditioning, I'm sure that the tips will be useful in your daily lives. Since his tenure of office as Minister of Energy and Public Utilities in July 2020, Honorable Lesjongard has given a new impetus to the energy sector. Being an engineer by profession, he has had regular meetings with the sea, marina, with a view to read the
Mrs. Ganesh Gulba, Permanent Secretary of my ministry. Mr. Christian Kurtik, Principal Consultant of Rose Partners Limited, who unfortunately cannot be physically present. And we thank him for being virtually present and we wish him good health. Chairpersons and Chief Executive Officers of parastatal bodies, board members of parastatal bodies, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. It is with an immense pleasure that I am addressing you today on the occasion of this function, organized by my ministry to celebrate for the first time the World Energy Day 2021. The World Energy Day is globally observed on the 27th of October and is linked with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 7. The objective of the World Energy Day is to ensure the affordability of a safe and sustainable energy for all by identifying the need for developing national policies to reflect on a shared energy perspective. The theme of the World Energy Day 2021 is Your Action Counts, Act Now. The World Energy Day is today being celebrated in a very particular context where the COVID-19 pandemic has greatly impacted the world community, where the world is pondering on the rational use of fossil fuels, where countries are accelerating their processes and strengthening their policies for a transformation of their energy sector to safer and more appropriate renewable sources. Ladies and gentlemen, the statistics are staggering. According to the World Energy Report, 850 million people, predominantly in the sub-Saharan Africa, are living without access to electricity. And hundreds of millions more only have access to very limited or unreliable electricity. Another 3.5 billion people lack energy for clean cooking. We tend to overlook these facts. There is a basic access gap, ladies and gentlemen. However, we have to acknowledge that the world is making progress towards the SDG Goal 7. In Mauritius, 99.6% of the population already has access to electricity, and we are in the process of diversifying its sources of energy. In 2020, 76.1% of electricity was generated from non-renewable sources, while 23.9% was generated from renewable energy sources. It is foreseen that in the next 30 years, renewable power generation technologies will be capable to deliver reliable and affordable energy to meet the needs of users around the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, Mauritius has also joined this international trend and embarked on its energy transition. From a timid 18 megawatt of solar energy production in early 2015, contributing less than 1% in the energy mix, today the capacity of solar PV installation has been increased to some 106 megawatt, contributing to 5% of the mix. This government's energy policy is to encourage the use of renewable and clean energy so as to reduce the country's dependence on fossil fuels and decrease greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by 2030. The Honorable Prime Minister has recently chaired the first meeting of the Inter-Ministerial Climate Change Council set up under the new Climate Change Act, where the nationally determined contributions, commonly called NDCs of Mauritius, have been endorsed. These include our mitigation and adaptation strategies and targets to combat climate change, worked out by the Ministry of Environment with all the stakeholders concerned. Mauritius intends to participate actively at the conference of COP26 and advocate for international support with due regard to the particularities of the small island developing states. Ladies and gentlemen, The last budget, that is the budget of 2021-2022, has also laid much emphasis on the penetration of renewable energy. The green energy would be a new pillar of the economy. 60% of our country's energy needs will be produced from green sources by 2030 instead of 40% as initially agreed. The use of coal will also be totally phased out by 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, at the level of my ministry, we are mobilizing the required resources and efforts and working in collaboration with public bodies and other stakeholders to bring about this transition to clean energy. The Central Electricity Board had undertaken an exercise to gauge the market in terms of investment in renewable technologies. An international request for information had been launched and 49 proposals have been received. And the technologies proposed are a combination of new and popular ones. This is an indication that our renewable targets are achievable. As regards private sector investment in the field of renewable energy, CEB has launched 2 requests for proposal. The first one, for the setting up of a wind farm project of a capacity ranging from 10 megawatt to 30 megawatt, and the second one is for the setting up of 3 solar farms of 10 megawatt each. There are several other projects which are being implemented for the generation of solar energy, namely a floating PV at Tamarin Falls and a solar farm at Anguita. However, the integration of variable renewable energy generation on our power system poses a challenge. In order to maintain reliability and stability of electricity supply, CEB has implemented a battery energy storage system where 14 megawatt has already been commissioned. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been made aware of some bottlenecks in the process for application and grant of approval under the various small and medium scale distributed generated systems, commonly known as SSDG and MSDG, and we have addressed same. We have reviewed and streamlined the procedures for a more expeditious processing of applications. The previously long application procedure of more than 10 steps has been reduced to only 4 steps. Under the streamlined procedure on the Central Electricity Board side, only 14 days will be required to complete the grid interconnection of a solar photovoltaic system. Obviously, this excludes the time taken for the promoters to install their PV panel. In the same vein, a dedicated renewable energy department has been created at the Central Electricity Board and staffed with the relevant skills and competencies to allow for the achievement of the RE objectives and targets. I am confident, ladies and gentlemen, that all the above measures will contribute positively to bringing a renewed dynamism in the sector despite the sluggishness caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. On the occasion of the World Energy Day, it is equally relevant to talk of energy efficiency. Energy efficiency and energy conservation are key to progress towards sustainable energy. Improving energy efficiency plays a critical role in decoupling economic growth from energy consumption. We have witnessed this in Mauritius, where the energy intensity has been decreasing over the past years which is an indication that we are moving in the right direction. Ladies and gentlemen, out of the several measures announced in the budget for the renewable energy sector, I have much pleasure today to launch two new schemes. Firstly, the CB Renewable Energy Scheme for charging of electric vehicles. Government had approved the implementation of a 10-year roadmap for the integration of electric vehicles in Mauritius. Subsequently, an implementation and monitoring committee has been set up at the level of my ministry to drive its implementation. As per the report, it is expected that the number of electric cars would shoot up to 8,400 by 2025 and to 26,000 by 2030 on a medium growth term scenario. Like internet in the 90s, the electric car market is already growing exponentially. Global sales of electric cars shot up in 2020, rising by 43%, despite overall car sales slumping by 1/5 during the COVID-19 pandemic. The trend across the world is also for fossil fuel powered vehicles to gradually disappear and be replaced by cleaner vehicles. Some vehicle manufacturers have expressed their intention to stop the production of fuel combustible vehicles in a few years. Electric vehicles hold a number of benefits, and with newer, smarter, and more efficient models being manufactured, the consumer has more choice. The range anxiety, which was a real challenge a few years ago, is now a thing of the past, as cars come with range autonomy of up to 700 kilometers. Government has provided several incentives to promote the uptake of electric vehicles. Besides existing tax relief, practically no customs duty, it has been announced now that the DBM will provide a loan up to an amount of 100,000 at a low rate interest of 2% for solar kits for domestic purposes. I am sure that many of you present today who are governed by the PRB report will take advantage of the exceptional loan facility of 1% interest rate for the purchase of electric cars. This preferential loan of 1% is in fact a grand premiere in the history of Mauritius. Ladies and gentlemen, a technical exercise was carried out by the CB in order to work out the cost involved in running a conventional vehicle as opposed to an electric car. There are definite savings to be made, whether in terms of fuel consumption, maintenance, servicing, or repairs. The exercise allowed the CB to work out a tariff whereby the customer would benefit from charging his car at specific times of the day or the night, off-peak times. Hence, an attractive time of use tariff has been designed. The time of use tariff would enable the individual to charge its electric car in the night at a rate which will be 60% lower than the peak evening rate. Thus, by charging his car between 21 hours and 4 hours in the morning, the consumer is charged only 4 rupees per kilowatt hour, as opposed to 10 rupees if he charges the car between 18 hours and 21 hours. It is considered that the main cost involved in the running of an electric vehicle, which is electricity, can be significantly reduced with the coming into operation of the time of use tariff. coupled with the various incentives already in place and recently announced, we believe that the right environment has been created for the uptake of electric vehicles in Mauritius in the years to come. As we promote electric vehicles, we would also want that these be powered by clean energy. In this connection, the CEB will shortly launch a scheme for electric vehicles whereby owners of electric vehicles will be allowed to install a photovoltaic system not exceeding 10 kilowatt to charge their vehicles and export any surplus to the grid. By proper sizing of the PV installation, the owner can have a net zero bill from the CEB by exporting sufficient energy to offset his or her consumption. The tariff proposed is ₹3.73 per kilowatt hour exported. We are also at the same time working on installation of public charging points at strategic locations across the island. Charging points will also need to be provided at corporate premises. Ladies and gentlemen, I have also the pleasure today to launch another landmark scheme designed by CEB, namely the CEB Renewable Scheme for Public Enterprises. The scheme has been put up following the measure announced in the budget 2021-2022 regarding greenfield projects from public sector entities such as DBN, Lensco, Osbel Sugar State, SIT, and so on. Government entities wishing to optimize their assets by investing in RE can now do so. CEB has devised a special scheme whereby government entities can now install PV installation and sell the electricity produced. The scheme will allow public bodies to contribute to the renewable energy movement in Mauritius and help us to reach our target of 60% of clean energy by 2030. This is all the more relevant today as the world is facing a surge in the price of fuel and a global energy crunch that has led to big disruptions across China, the US, the UK, and Europe. Petrol and diesel prices have also spiked in several countries, including India and China. Moving to renewable energy, especially solar energy, will be advantageous. These schemes will no doubt contribute towards our strategy to decarbonize our energy sector and build the new pole of green energy industry. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme chosen this year for the World Energy Day is Your Efforts Count, Act Now. The theme lays emphasis on the fact that we energy users need to act responsibly so that we use energy judiciously and avoid any wastage. To achieve this goal, a change in mindset is crucial. And to this purpose, awareness raising on energy efficiency and energy conservation has to be sustained so that people are made aware of the importance of energy in their daily activities. Last but not least, I will invite you all to visit the exhibition in the gallery, which depicts the parcours of evolution of energy in Mauritius. I will also seize this opportunity to invite the population to take advantage of the open day organized by the Central Electricity Board tomorrow, 23rd October, and visit the hydropower station at Midlands, the thermal power station at Fort Victoria, and the solar farm at Aneta. Ladies and gentlemen, I have now the pleasure to declare the event open and wish you all fruitful discussions in the second part of the function, and I thank you all for your attention.